What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk to you about SoundHound. I want to go over some of the data points, break it down on what is really moving it, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So SoundHound's down 2.2%, 850 for the high, 825 the low. So had a nice start to kind of the day, but regrettably it is getting dragged down. For those of you that have access to overnight trading, it was down about 4.83%, had a low of 805. So there was a lot of fear during the overnight trading. Kind of reminds me of when there was that bottom in April 2025. But nonetheless, this time around, there's just a lot of things all happening at once. Whereas back then, it was Trump's tariffs. That's what was kind of really influencing the broader market. It looks like SoundHound's getting dragged down a little bit more right now. As far as data points, we did have 2 rounds of manufacturing. So we had global manufacturing coming in at 52.4, forecast of 51.9. And then we just had less than 1 minute ago, ISM manufacturing coming in at 52.6, forecast of 48. So this has been, I think, the writing on the wall, because a lot of the manufacturing data over the last several weeks have been absolutely stellar. ISM manufacturing is a smaller control group, and with it coming at 52.6, that is much greater than the forecast. So definitely a lot of expansion is occurring. I don't know how the market might take that, because I know it really wants a rate cut, but nonetheless, there's a lot of other things that's really affecting the market. One is the new potential Fed chair that Trump obviously is kind of tapping on the shoulder for the most part, and yeah, his hawkish stance. So I think the market generally doesn't like that whatsoever. Government shutdown, some people are saying that's really influencing the price. I don't see that being done. I think that was already priced in fully either Thursday and Friday. No different than last shutdown. We had 1 or 2 red days, and then we kind of just moved on forward. Like nothing really mattered for that. But aside from that, just the weakening dollar as well is also another attributing factor why the market's kind of acting the way it is. So like I said, there's just a lot of things all happening at once. And then especially in SoundHound's case, the whole AI bubble is really affecting it. So a lot of high multipled tech plays are getting hit. One thing that is coming out after hours today, though, is Palantir's earnings. And Palantir always, oddly enough, really affected SoundHound. And so I don't know why, maybe just within the same sector and so forth. But nonetheless, Palantir's earnings coming out after hours could really move SoundHound tomorrow, as well as I'm sure the broader market and a lot of tech and AI plays. Aside from that, there really hasn't been that much in news from SoundHound itself. So last news was on the 28th, roughly around that same kind of when I did my last video. Hasn't been any new SEC filings, nothing really being posted on social media either. So it is just been at the mercy of the broader market. Regarding shorts, they are increasing 223,000 shares, 32.5% of the free float is being shorted, works to be 123 million shares overall are being shorted. Cost to borrow average 5.07%, short score 74.29, DTC 4.85 days. So it does really signal that shorts are overextended. One thing that I generally do like, I guess given the circumstances in the market right now about SoundHound, is that they are safe. During times of expansion, of course, it's not good to be safe. You kind of have to be a little bit more aggressive with your expansion and so forth. But when the market is fearful, SoundHound with their safe mentality, I think that could really help. So I know that might be an inverse type of way of thinking of it, but again, I think this might potentially draw some institutions to SoundHound. Aside from that, though, looking at the options, market's only been open about 35 minutes, so take this with a grain of salt. 248,000 in calls, 211,000 in puts, and 56% of all the options being done are bearish in nature. So big money does feel like there is downside, although some of that could be linked to hedging. From a bull standpoint, you see a consensus for it to be roughly around 850 to 9, and even potentially even as high as 10. Again, that could be hedging or potentially legitimate optimism, because there's a lot of big companies putting out their earnings this week that could change things quite dramatically. But from a bear standpoint, you see a consensus for it to be sub 750. And this is something honestly I've been really warning a lot of individuals about, is these levels. So with it right now at 828, it is slightly above this S1 of 827. So 904 and then 780 is that next strong real support and target. So essentially this 827, that's going to be a key pivot for today. So if it closes above that, then you could see a nice recovery to that $9 range. If it breaks below that, then obviously we might see some further consolidation, similar to what happened in April of 2025, where we did hit a low. I think it was kind of the high sixes, which is rather extreme if you think about it. So this sell-off is more of a targeting high multiple stocks rather than anything. So fundamentals haven't really changed at all with SoundHound. So still nothing changes operationally if the stock price goes up or down 10%. I think a lot of people just generally don't understand that. But if you're one of those individuals trading on margin, you need to be a little bit more cautious just in case, because I think just alone the overnight trading from yesterday could have really margin called a lot of individuals. But aside from that, on the secondary market, this kind of shows that institutions aren't really buying the SoundHound dip. So you have one buy for 156,000, the rest are sells. Dark pool a little bit more active, but then again, given how many shares shorts are trading, a lot of this is obviously linked to them. Aside from all of that fun stuff, getting back to kind of the chart itself, I think SoundHound and possibly the broader market starting to really move higher, maybe because of the ISM data, which was absolutely, like I said, on point, but that's never really been a concern on a side note. So the Feds are really watching inflation as well as labor data. So that's where tomorrow's data is going to be huge. So the JOLT numbers, but manufacturing and the expansion, that's never really been that big of a concern ultimately. So it looks like actually SoundHound's starting to recover because of that. And in general, you can kind of see NASDAQ is up 0.45 and many others. But as far as right now, I'd like to say that this is optimistic, but it's not. It's really below all the key moving averages. So this is kind of like a falling knife type of scenario. Looking at stochastic RSI, very oversold. So a good piece of news to come out, then you could see kind of a rush of buying going on. But I feel like that could be coming later in the week, possibly. Nothing really new for analyst ratings. The last one was done by H.C. Wainwright. It was a buy, $26 buy, January the 12th. So nothing really crazy. Aside from Wedbush, and this is why I've always brought up Wedbush in the past, is because that was and is pretty much the more kind of higher graded firms. A lot of these, D.A. Davidson, Wainwright, Cantor, a lot of them are kind of B level in my opinion. So them giving ratings is just fluff. Market doesn't really care all that much about it, in all fairness. Aside from that, there really hasn't been that much in articles either talking about SoundHound or whatever else. Still linking Daniel Ives. So Daniel Ives does have a innovative ETF that SoundHound did get kicked off of. I think that was roughly September or close to October. But nonetheless, SoundHound, like I said, I think their safe stance might actually keep them afloat a lot better than other tech and AI plays that either need money or whatever else. Because keep in mind, SoundHound does have a pretty solid balance sheet. So let me know your thoughts on SoundHound. Are you buying? Are you selling? I know based on a lot of my comments, a lot of people are very frustrated that they did not sell in the 20s. I think just a lot of this has been absolutely brutal, this downtrend right here. But let me know your viewpoint on SoundHound. One final thing, pop over to my Patreon if you're looking for some solid on-point buy signals on stocks, options, crypto. Put out daily day trades, numerous swing trades. Worthwhile to pop over there and check that out. With all that, appreciate all of you watching.